to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Thursday, May 5th, 2022, Cinco de Mayo. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. If you didn't catch yesterday's Recap Wednesday, I'm going to strongly suggest you go back and do that because you're missing out on vintage performance from Rafa Brandao from last weekend's Arnold South America. But with all due respect to Rafa and everyone else on stage last weekend, one of the athletes who really seemed to catch everyone's attention was Ramon Dino, because the look he brought into one of the featured guest poser spots damn near set the building on fire. Between this and what he did at the Arnold Classic back in March, he might be at a point where he deserves more attention as someone who could potentially be one of the top 2 athletes in this division. Because if he can make the right improvements between now and the Olympia, he'll be ready to give Chris Bumstead and Terrence all they can handle. Since we're already talking about classic physique, this felt like a good time to slip in this new update from Breon Ansley, who recently went on the record to say that he's planning to compete at the Tampa Pro later this year. According to Breon, he's in the process of hammering out a new strategy with this team in the hopes of getting himself back into title contention as the former 2-time Olympia champ finishes out his last year in the division. As we've seen so many times before, when Breon is at his best, he has the ability to beat almost anyone in the division on any given night. So if he can get himself back on track in Tampa and then use the remainder of the year to keep building on that right up until the Olympia, there's always a chance that we see him pull out one more of those vintage peak Breon performances to make one last push for the gold. We have a few more guest posings from last weekend coming your way, starting with this bad boy from Steve Kuclo, who put on one hell of a performance at his Steve Kuclo Classic last weekend. One of the things that always impresses about Steve when you see him on stage posing by himself is the amount of muscle that he carries. Because when you see stuff like this, it reminds you of the fact that there are only a handful of guys in bodybuilding who walk around carrying that sort of size. It's probably also worth noting that Steve is in pretty good shape considering the fact that the last time he competed was at the Boston Pro, which was almost 2 months ago. When he's at the right lineup and he's completely dialed in, the man is a force to be reckoned with. And because it's so early in the season, I don't think we should rule out a possibility of seeing him on stage again before the Olympia weekend. And finally, our last update of the day comes to you courtesy of our friend Brett Wilkin, who did his part to make sure everyone in the building at the Warrior Classic Pro got their money's worth last weekend. The people we've talked to who were in the live attendance there said that you can feel the energy in the building change after Brett stepped on stage. And if you're checking out this video right now, it isn't hard to see why. For all intents and purposes, Brett has become one of the biggest fan favorites in bodybuilding over the last few years. So whenever he's out there firing on all cylinders, it feels like a major event. Even though he's been non-committal about whether or not he's going to compete again this year, he definitely looks like he could flip the switch if he wanted to. So if he can put together a few solid months and get himself to the point where he feels comfortable about what he can bring to the table, there's still a chance for him to secure a win and punch his first ticket to be on stage with the rest of the best during Olympia weekend. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.